Are you serious? Are you serious? Ebola! And this thing is getting worse by the moment. Folks, there are reports of 660 people dead. I have reports 680 are dead. I have another report that says 710 are dead. Over 1,000 have been affected. The top doctor of the who is trying to stop this thing has died from Ebola. Nurses are dying. Matter of fact, one of the aides that don't even have contact with any patients, her job is that after people who are in hazmat, wearing hazmat clothing, after they are working with the patients, when they go into a different building, take the hazmat stuff off. This person, all they do is rinse them down. Okay? Help rinse them down. The lady who rinses them down has gotten Ebola and died, which is making major concerns now that this thing is way more potent and is more of a... Is it airborne? Well, is it something... Is it a plague of biblical proportions? We know Ebola will kill you. It kills about 90% of those who get it. Well, the nation of Liberia has shut down their borders. They've just shut their borders down. They can't let people in. They can't let people out. And they're going to have to figure out a way to quarantine. I don't know what they're going to do. If they don't hurry, the entire continent of Africa and then the world is going to be affected with a pandemic of biblical proportions. Well, most of the border crossings in Liberia have been closed. Communities have been hit by Ebola outbreak, face quarantines to try to halt the spread of this deadly virus. Screening centers are also being set up at the few major entry points that will remain open, such as the main airport. That's not shut it down. Shut it down. Meanwhile, Nigeria's largest airline, Arc Air, has suspended all flights to Liberia and Sierra Leone, which is also being eat up with this thing. 3 nations are. After a man with Ebola flew to Nigeria last week. The virus has killed at least 660 people in West Africa since February. Like I said, the numbers are over 700. The outbreak began in southern Guinea. It spread to Liberia and then to Sierra Leone. Those 3 nations have the virus. It is the worst. It is the world's deadliest so far. Nigeria has put all its entry points on red alert after confirming that the Liberian man died of Ebola after arriving at Lagos Airport on Tuesday. Ebola kills up to 90% of those infected, but patients have a better chance of survival if they receive early treatment. It spreads through contact with an infected person's bodily fluids, but we're finding out that this woman who just sprayed everybody down ended up with this thing. Are you serious? So we feel especially compelled to take the business decision to immediately suspend flights into these 2 Ebola-affected countries. But it's really 3, due to our interest in well-beings of Nigerians. So it's getting uglier by the moment. The Bible's pestilence or plagues and diseases are spreading. The water's turning blood red. 16 different places of the world in the last 3 years. The birds are still falling from the sky by the hundreds, sometimes the thousands. The fish are still washing up on the banks of the rivers and the streams and the oceans and the seas by the thousands, sometimes of the millions. The cattle are still falling over dead by the hundreds or thousands. The earth is still now seeing major lightning bolts because of the chargeable particles in the air. We are watching sinkholes open up around the earth at an unbelievable exponential momentum. The world's wickedness is rising. the demonic spirits are loose. The radical Islamic jihadists are murdering everywhere. The nations are rising against nations, kingdoms against kingdoms, and Israel's caught in a bloody war with Hamas in Gaza, and we're only had one of the 4 blood moons in this tetrad. I want you to stay right here. We're going to continue to keep an eye. What did I just say? I'm barely touching the surface of the apocalyptic signs prophesied by Jesus, manifesting before your very eyes, also prophesied by John when he received the words, the testimony, the prophecy of Jesus in the book of Revelation and book of Daniel. We can see that when they said, remember what Paul said also in Thessalonians, when they begin to say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh. I think you can see that prophecy, after the 9-month process of trying to have peace, I think you see now where that led us to. Are you saved? Are you going to heaven if Jesus comes, or are you going to be left behind to face the wrath of God? Because everything I just said, this ain't the wrath of God. This is not the wrath of God. These are the harbinger signs of the rise of the beast, the New World Order, the spirit of the Illuminati, the mark, the one world religion. How many places do I got to tell you? One world currency. This is not the wrath of God. You don't want to be here for the wrath of God. You do not want to be here. Don't be left behind.